We're here today at Faye Akara's garden just south of Perth, dubbed the Botanic Obsession, to talk about the tomato potato psyllid. The pest has just infiltrated Australia for the first time and is affecting commercial as well as residential gardens. It attacks popular plants like potatoes, tomatoes and chilies.
What we have here is a representation of what the tomato potato psyllid looks like. You can see on this board here that we have various stages. We have the adults here, and these are very tiny, 2 to 3 millimetres in length, and they look like, if you get really close, they look like cicadas, but for all intents and purposes we'll just call them aphids. They look like aphids. So they're like aphids in that they are sucking insects. We have other growth stages here. We have the nymphs, which again are quite characteristic, and the adults emerge from the nymphal case, and we have some empty nymph cases here as well. In our pest lists, it's number 11 out of the top 40, so we're very concerned about this because not only does it carry, not only is it a production pest, it's also a market access pest, and it can be found with a bacteria. Fortunately, we have not found the bacteria to date, but we are appealing for more samples and more specimens so we can actually detect if the pathogen is here. It hasn't built up in numbers outside the control area, in the suppression zone to numbers that are causing any damage to plants yet, but it will do as it, if we can't contain it and we can't control it with sprays, it will cause damage to crops in the future, and that's why we actually have a number of other states have imposed market restrictions on stuff moving out of Western Australia at the moment. We're asking people in the metropolitan area now that we have most of the detections we've had just over 70 statewide, but most of them are in the metropolitan area, and we're trying to contain it there. So we're asking people not to move produce out of the metropolitan area or plants off their property. So if they've got host plants, do not move them off their property. If they've got host fruit, like capsicum fruit, chilies, things like this, and eggplants, we're asking them not to move them outside the metropolitan area, so that they could potentially move the pest, and that would make it more difficult to contain. The other thing is, if they are moving them within the metropolitan area, this is the fruit, they could wash them just under soapy water before they actually take them off, because there might be a psyllid nymph actually on the piece of fruit, and they could just wash it off quite easily.
If you live in the Orange regional area, you need to report instances of the psyllid immediately using either the My Pest Guide Reporter app or sending a photo to info@agric.wa.gov.au, or you can ring the free call number 1800 084 881.
I prefer not to use chemicals, Elise, so I plant a lot of flowering plants, and that brings in the good bugs. So if I get aphids that are out of whack, what happens is I'll get 4 lots of predators. There'll be ladybirds, parasitic wasps, hoverflies and lacewings that move in, and they clean them up in a few days. So I'm hoping that in time, if this potato psyllid comes here, that one of my good bugs will move in and take care of it. Spend a lot of time out in my garden. I love the Pest Guide Reporter app. I've always got my phone in my back pocket, so if I see something that I don't know, I'll take a photo and send it straight off to the Ag Department using the app. Instead of being fussy about cleaning out things that have perhaps died down, I've realised that they can become home to things like our native bees. So leaving pithy stems or dead daisy heads will actually become an environment for our good bugs. And over behind you, you can see that I have a lot of cosmos flowers. There's carrots that are going to seed. There's alyssum, which I know brings in the lacewings. There's marigolds. So a bit of companion planting and letting areas go wild. That is one of the keys.
Daryl was over to help Faye install a trap in her backyard as part of the Adopt a Trap program. The trap consists of a sheet of sticky film and a bird-safe guard held onto a stake with bulldog clips.
It's not psyllid specific, it's anything that likes yellow, and a lot of insects like yellow sticky. So we'll get thrips and aphids, all sorts of things will go to that trap. So we'll leave the trap out now for a week, and then Faye will, the trap will, the actual sticky surface, we need to wrap that in Glad wrap when it's actually collected, and then that'll be sent into the laboratory, and our taxonomist will look through every trap.
I'm Elise Van Aken for Undercurrent.